The Channel Mom Show, celebrating you with Jenny Dean Schmidt.
Brought to you by Pediatric Dental Group of Colorado, creating positive and rewarding dental visits for kids of all ages since 1977.
Hey, welcome back to the Channel Mom Show, where we're celebrating moms. We get it. We get that a lot of people forget to tell you thanks and forget to show you a little appreciation. I know you get some of it, but we're here to do that for you all the time. Okay, we're going to solve one of your biggest summer problems for you right now. Courtney Walsh is a freelance writer and the author of 2 craft books, Scrapbooking, Your Faith, and The Busy Scrapper. And now Courtney has a new, I think it's a fiction book called A Sweet Haven Summer. From the description, it sounded like that. I didn't want to say it if it was not, but it sounds like it looks like a wonderful book. She was also a contributing editor for Memory Makers magazine, and she lives right here in Colorado with me, with her husband and her 3 children. By the way, you can learn more about her at CourtneyWalsh.typepad.com. Welcome, Courtney, to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Oh, we're blessed to have you. I feel like I know you because I've been watching you and reading your blog. And first off, you're hilarious.
Oh, thanks.
I just want people to get to know you a little bit. The other day, you were talking about trying to fix your bad hair situation, and you went to Pinterest to get help. Is that correct? What'd you do?
I went to Pinterest. You know, I didn't even mean to do this. I was kind of looking around. I was taking a little mental break, and there's this girl who posts all these hair tutorials, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to look at this, and I'm terrible with my hair. My sister's always been really good with her hair. I have a daughter that's growing her hair out. I need to figure out how to fix some hair. And so I go onto Pinterest, and this girl has, literally, I think 40 tutorials. So I scroll through, and I'm like, I'm going to try some of these. So I watched the tutorials on YouTube, and she gives, like, really good step-by-step instructions, and I went up to my bathroom, and I was here by myself. I started messing with my hair. And, oh, my gosh, I just clearly do not have – and I kept telling myself, you have to keep practicing. This isn't going to be good the first time. But I just figured, you know, I can't be the only person that doesn't know how to do their own hair that's 36 years old and can't figure out how to create their hair.
Well, people now know that you can go to Pinterest for help, or you can go and look at you struggling and at least know not what to do, I guess. You had, like, pirate's hat. That you were making so much fun of yourself, which I appreciated because you were making light of it. At one point, you put a pirate hat on.
Yes.
It was funny.
Well, that's what it kind of reminded me of. It's like the shape of it looked like, you know, a pirate hat. And that's all I could think was, my kids are going to make so much fun of me when they walk in the door. And, you know, everybody just kind of looked at me. And my son, he's 8, he said, well, I kind of like it and I kind of don't. I was like, that, you know, is not a rave review from anybody.
No. I just appreciated that you're so honest. And you also said something I'm not even sure you want to talk about on the air. You had something about your son and a balloon, and it was hilarious that you showed the picture of the balloon, which I was kind of amazed at.
Well, I giggled the whole time I wrote that one because my kids just really crack me up. And, I mean, my son, my littlest one is 4.5, and he just says the funniest things sometimes. And yeah, it was drawing inappropriate things on this balloon. And, you know, I'm thinking, there's no way he's drawing this on a balloon. My older son is telling me he's drawing inappropriate things on this balloon with a permanent marker. Can you believe this? And so I go and look, and sure enough, I asked him, you know, what is this? And he's like, it's a weenie. I mean, he just flat said it. And I was like, what are you going to do? I mean, he's 4.5 and he's a boy. I mean, I guess this is just what it's like to parent a boy.
It is. But I've got one. It is.
Yeah.
And by the way, it was right next to the anatomy was all wrong. It was kind of hilarious.
Totally wrong.
Yeah. So if people want to go see that, they can. Where do they go to see that blog? Tell people right now.
Oh, that's on my blog, CourtneyWalsh.typepad.com. And I just pretty much, I mean, I'll make fun of myself probably at least 2 times a week because, I mean, don't even get me started about trying to cook in the kitchen because if I still think I need to do a big post on how bad I am. You know that Worst Cooks in America?
Yeah.
When that show came on, I said to my husband, I could win that show. Like, I should really
You should go on it. Yeah. I could go on as your sous chef because I'm right there with you, girl. I mean, I can cook, but I don't love it. And when you don't love it, you're a little more liable to burn things and because you just don't pay attention.
And hurt yourself.
Yeah. My dad is fond of saying he just liked to take a pill that was made up of blueberry pie and beef and potatoes. You know what I mean? You could just take it and it would taste like that and he'd be done. I'm kind of there because I don't really enjoy the cooking part of it. Let me say this. You did admit something on your blog, which I found kind of universal with moms. You said moms really have a hard time admitting their gifts and their talents and talking highly of themselves, just saying, you know, this is what I can do. This is what I'm good at. And as a result, sometimes it stunts their ability to contribute to the world because they don't see themselves in that way. Now, especially, I think, if they don't have a career that quote unquote legitimizes them, and if they're quote unquote just a mom, which I've done the career thing. I've also been quote unquote just a mom.
Just a mom, right?
And I think moms do lose that kind of self-worth. Any advice on that before we get into how do we scrapbook our lives?
Well, I've been thinking about that lately because, my husband is a great person for saying, this is what I'm good at. And he's also a really good person for saying, this is what I'm really bad at. Mm-hmm. This is what I can't handle the details. I can't handle this, but this I can do. And I always kind of when he'll say that to people, I always cringe a little, how can he say that? You can't do that. And I think men can get away with it a little bit better. Mm-hmm. But for women, for us, it's if you have a friend that tells you she's really good at something, it's I really hate hanging around with her because she keeps telling me how good she is. But I started thinking about, what's so bad about being I'm at this point in my life, I know the things I'm good at. I can tell you a long list of all the things that I'm bad at. What's wrong with owning it and mm-hmm. saying, this is what I do? And I still, honestly, I'm having this revelation, but if you ask me right now, so what are you good at? I couldn't tell you. It's really hard for me for some reason. And I think it's hard for all of us to say, it's even hard to say sometimes, I think I'm a good mom. That's even a hard thing.
Yes, it is.
And so it's just, I don't really understand why. It's we've been trained, I think, about 6th grade to think, well, you're bragging. That's bragging. Mm-hmm. And I really don't think it is. And I'm trying to juggle that because my daughter's going into 6th grade, and she's at that age where we kind of know some things that she's good at, and we kind of know some things that she probably will never pursue. And I'm just what do you do with that? How do you bring her up and get her to have really good self-esteem but not be overly confident,
Sure, absolutely.
So it's such a delicate balance.
It is, and I love that you just went back to the basics. Because what good is it if we're walking around saying, I'm not really good at much to our kids? What good is that?
Right.
Right. And how is that helping them in their lives? And so I think you're right. At some point, you need to be starting to say positive things, even if it's just sort of truth that God loves me. And that's positive. And you can say that out loud. And so, I urge every mother out there to grab a hold of that and start saying positive things about herself, or just if you're afraid to brag about yourself, say, well, Daddy loves me, or God loves me, or I know my kids love me. I mean, that's the first positive you can start with. I saw that you were doing that on your blog. That's a place to start.
I did a good job with this. If you do make a meal and it's for a holiday and you feel happy with the way it came out, or you plan a party for your kid and it's a birthday party and you stress over it and it turns out really good, I think it's okay at the end of the day to be I think we did a really good job on this party, mm-hmm. And I think that's okay to get into that, because I really do think you're right. I mean, you don't do a lot of service to anybody, but especially to yourself and to your family, if you can't say, hey, I'm pretty good at that, but it's such a hard thing to do. So.
Yeah, it is. But we want to get to, in the last 5 minutes here, you really want to help moms when it comes to organizing their memories, their mementos, mm-hmm. their overwhelming amounts of photos, which is me. And if you can inspire me today, you can inspire anybody, because I'm one of those people that has thousands of things sitting on my iMac, and I also have a overflowing Tupperware box and stuff from 1982. I have stuff from forever. How do you get to that place where you're not afraid to tackle that, and you can really say, this is something I'm going to create for my whole family, and it's going to be enjoyable, and it's going to organize my closet with overflowing photos?
Right. Well, I think you can start one of two ways. You can either decide to do the most recent thing and work backwards, where you're just kind of, but not organizing every single photo necessarily. If you're talking about scrapbooking, I definitely wouldn't scrapbook every single picture. You're never going to get it done. You'll be doing it till the day you die. And so, my advice is always just take the ones that inspire you. When you look at it, there's a story behind it. You want to tell that story, put that one in an album and scrapbook that one. And then put the others in an album that's maybe just a photo book where you just slide. Don't do the magnetic albums, because those will eat your pictures up. But the other ones that you just slide the picture in and be done with it. And I really think if you can take it in small bites, that's ideal. The other thing you can do is to create albums that are say you had a vacation last summer. You can just do a vacation album. So then that's, that whole vacation and a lot of those pictures, because, you've got more than just a couple pictures from that you want to remember. Yeah. Then you get all of that into an album. And,
that's a good idea.
I think the biggest thing is not to put a lot of pressure on yourself to get caught up, because you really never will.
Thank you.
We're never caught up. We wake up with a to-do list.
Yeah, because I've known my husband since I was 4. So we have pictures together in elementary school and in junior high and high school. And so I feel like I need to go back to the late 1970s, you know what I mean? And start from there. And so that's why I never start. Because I think there's no way I can do that.
Yeah, I know.
So thank you for saying that you can set aside time, or you can set aside just a vacation from, 2011 and just start with that. I love that. That's great. And tell people about your books, because that can probably help organize them as well.
Yeah, well, I've written 3 to date, and then I have my next one comes out in August. But it's a little bit different because the first 2 I wrote were scrapbooking idea books. So I had Scrapbooking Your Face, and then one called The Busy Scrapper, which would be great for busy moms to pick up and just, it's got a lot of tips to do if you want to create scrapbook pages that are simple and easy and fast. And there's like little shortcuts and stuff in there. And then I started writing fiction a couple of years ago, and my first book is Sweet Haven Summer. That one came out in February, and it's part of a 3-book series, so the next one will come out in August. But that also has a kind of a scrapbooking theme. I guess it's like the theme of my life to write about scrapbooking.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the stories that can be told through scrapbooks, and I appreciate the friendships that can be built through a hobby that people love. Like if you're quilting or knitting or whatever, scrapbooking, that brings people together if there's a common interest like that. And so that's kind of what I wanted to explore a little bit with my novel.
Yeah, and we've lost the art of storytelling, and you can really use photos to do that. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We don't, because everything is just in these Twitter-sized sound bites.
Right.
We don't know how to tell stories anymore, so we can't get to know each other through stories. And I think you're trying to revive that in scrapbooking. Grab a picture that you can tell a story about, and then your kids can have it, and your grandkids can have it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, wouldn't you love to have that? I mean, wouldn't you love to have that from your grandparents or your grandparents?
Yes.
Parents, I mean, I would love to know some of that. I mean, sometimes it passes through my mind where I'm like, I wonder what that was like for my grandma, And I think and I mean, granted, if you're a scrapbooker, you've probably got more than your family will ever want to read. However, even if you're just doing like one book a year, one like small book a year, or, a photo, this is the other thing. If you can do a photo album and just stick a note card on the back of the picture that says, this is what the story was, you're scrapbooking. I mean, it doesn't have to be some big art thing.
Yeah.
Just preserve the memory, the dates, the times, a little bit about what it was like, tell the story. I mean, I'm really passionate about that because I think, in the future, 30 years down the road, people are going to want to read that stuff. And then 50 years down the road, they're really going to want to read it,
Yeah, and
so it's important.
As a mom, we do sacrifice for the next generation, and that's what you're doing. You're thinking, you know what, I'm going to put this together because it's going to be a benefit to my kids and my kids' kids, and it's a gift. It's almost like you could give one to them every Christmas, and it would be a gift, even whether they knew it or not. It's a gift. So tell people really briefly, the next 15 seconds, how do they connect to you and order your books?
Well, my books are on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. Barnes & Noble also carries it. You can get it on the Nook or the Kindle. And then my website, CourtneyWalshWrites.com, has all my contact information. And then I try to blog every single day at CourtneyWalsh.typepad.com.
And they're fabulous and hilarious, so I urge people to go there.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. It's been wonderful to have you, Courtney. Thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really loved it.